From the University of Florida College of Journalism and Communications, you're watching WUFT News at 6.
A SWAT team is at the Spanish Trace Apartments near Archer Road and 34th Street. Gainesville police say a man is barricaded in his apartment with a gun. That is our top story. Good evening. I'm Ben Bornstein.
And I'm Michael Higdon. According to police, the man shot 2 people earlier, but good news, the injuries are reported to be non-life-threatening. WUFT's Nicole Acevedo is at the scene. Nicole, what is the latest right now? I'm sorry, we can't get Nicole right now, but here's what we have so far. Police have blocked off all the roads leading into and around the complex. GPD says they initially thought the shooting began over a domestic dispute, but now say they are unsure what started the gunfire. GPD Public Information Officer Ben Tobias said they're using all they've got to make this area safe. Residents have been evacuated from the complex, and so far no other injuries have been reported. A SWAT team is on the scene to locate exactly what apartment he's inside, but investigators say there is no immediate danger as he is still contained.
You know, we have all of our resources out here. We have our helicopter that's giving us eyes from above. We have our SWAT teams who are, just extremely well trained in barricaded suspects. So, we have all of our resources out here, and we're going to do whatever is necessary to make sure the public stays safe and the suspect is apprehended.
Residents have been evacuated from the complex, and so far no other injuries have been reported. A SWAT team is on the scene to locate exactly what apartment he's inside, but investigators say there is no immediate danger and he is still contained.
The Florida Department of Law Enforcement and officials at the Columbia County Jail are trying to determine how inmates smuggled in a gun. 3 inmates and 4 others are now facing multiple charges. Investigators say the gun was used to shoot inmates Kirk Cartwright and Deshandre Billups on March 22nd. Cartwright and Billups told officials they were shot in their cell while praying. But FDLE says the shooting was part of a scam, so Cartwright and Billups could sue the Department of Corrections. The goal was to get reduced sentences. Investigators say family members conspired to sneak the gun in. Investigators think they regularly snuck in drugs and cell phones to the inmates. Billups and Cartwright now face 5 new felony charges.
The execution process is underway right now in Stark for a man who fatally stabbed his wife and her young son in 1985. This is the second time John Ruthell Henry has been behind bars for murder. In 1976, he went to prison for fatally stabbing his common-law wife. He was released in 1983, however. In the months before the execution, Henry's attorney had questioned whether his client was mentally stable enough to comprehend his death sentence. We have an update on a story we brought to you yesterday out of Tampa. Doomsday prepper Martin Winters turned himself in around 10 a.m. this morning. When searching through Winters' home, agents say they found at least 17 destructive devices and 2 automatic rifles there. Officials say that when Winters turned himself in with 2 attorneys and a family member, he looked wet and hungry and like he had been in the woods.
It's summertime, which means it's travel season.
And with travel season, you can usually expect an increase in airfares. And according to a report released by the Bureau of Labor Statistics, this year's increases are bigger than usual. WUFT's Lisa Greenberg joins us from the newsroom now with the details. Lisa, how do airline rates in 2014 compare to those of last year?
Michael, the cost of airline tickets increased nearly 5% from May 2013 to May 2014. This is the biggest year-over-year change since November of 2011. I sat down with Bob Todd of World Class Travel today, and he says there are several factors behind this rate hike.
I paid so much to get home for graduation, going home next week, so it's a lot.
Amy Schaefer, a University of Florida graduate and frequent traveler, paid more than she ever has to get home to Philadelphia after graduation in May. And after the release of a report by the Bureau of Labor Statistics, it's clear Amy wasn't the only one paying more for airfare. According to the report, airline fares increased by nearly 6% in the month of May, the biggest one-month spike in 15 years.
As you can see here, Amy paid $516 for a flight in May that she paid $491 for only a few months earlier. And for people who travel as much as Amy, that increase in cost adds up quickly.
Bob Todd of World Class Travel says it's not unusual for rates to increase during the summer. And while an improvement in the economy and rising gas prices could account for the spike in airfare, Todd says there's a bigger factor.
The lack of competition as big airline mergers are going on. As there are fewer carriers to pick from, fewer competition, it's to be expected that the consumer will face higher fares.
No matter what the cause is, the increase in airline fare is putting a damper on people's summer travel plans.
I would love to be able to take trips in the summer, and that just makes it a lot harder.
Todd says booking flights more than 6 months in advance may not get you the best deal.
If you're looking for a deal, oftentimes deals come along 2 to 3 months before you depart if the airlines are not selling all the seats.
And Todd speculates that rates will dip a little in the fall when there isn't as much of a demand for flights. He advises that if you haven't made your airline plans for this summer, you should do it soon. Reporting from the newsroom, Lisa Greenberg, WUFT News.
The new homeless center in Gainesville is finally starting to get a foothold. On June 1st, the center rolled out its new meal plan, offering 2 meals a day, which are being provided by church groups in the area. The number of people coming in for meals started low, but have been solidly growing the last 2.5 weeks, from single digits to dozens. People working at the center can tell more homeless people have started moving into the surrounding woods and have started using the center's facilities.
What we have been trying to do is help eliminate some of those survival needs so that people can start working on other parts of their lives. And so far, we are able to do that, and I've been really happy with that.
The next step for the center is allowing overnight stays on July 1st. DeCarmine says even though there will be limits on how many people can stay overnight, he does expect the meal service to continue growing.
We had some early showers earlier today, but it looks like that may not be the story tonight.
Yeah, it was definitely a nice little break from the heat today. We're going to University of Florida forecaster Don Bartolomucci to see what's in store for us tonight. Don?
Thanks, Michael. We did have a few showers popping up on radar earlier today, mostly to our east along the St. Johns River Valley, but all of those have moved to the east of, or to the west of I-75 rather. We do have a couple still on radar right now. If I zoom in real quick here, can see a few of those showers developing just east of or west of Archer, south of Newberry, moving to the west very, very slowly here through the evening hours. I think most areas will be dry though as we move through the rest of our overnight hours tonight. Take a look outside the University of Florida right now. You can see we did have pretty clear skies. Most of the clouds have cleared through the afternoon hours today. 82 degrees that current temperature, still very warm out there. 86 degrees for your heat index, so it is very warm out there as well. For the rest of tonight, it's going to be a muggy night. Temperatures only dipping into the 70s. I think the overnight low will be right around 70 degrees. It's going to be a warm night tonight. And coming up in my full forecast, I've been calculating heat indices and rain chances for the next couple days, and I'll have those when we come back. Back to you.
Should there be a type of stand your ground law in public schools? Duval County School Board member Jason Fisher introduced a proposal today to give students the right to defend themselves if attacked at school. Fisher says that students should not be disciplined if they fight back against an attacker.
You know, I think that's a charged phrase, and what I would say is it's really protecting the rights of self-defense and making sure that children, if they're being attacked, aren't punished for stopping their attacker.
Fisher introduced the idea at a school board workshop yesterday. The Florida Times-Union reports that no other board member showed support for the idea. Today, Governor Rick Scott signed 3 healthcare-related bills into law. One sets up a grant system to fund Alzheimer's research, in addition to requiring extra efforts be made to register Alzheimer's patients for special needs shelters during hurricane evacuations or other emergencies. A companion measure provides confidentiality for the personal info gathered as part of Alzheimer's research. And the third law sets up a consortium to allocate money to cancer centers for research. About $60 million a year will be distributed through a complicated formula for research grants. The idea is to help cancer centers in Florida achieve NCI designation from the National Cancer Institute. Outside of that program, the new state budget has another $20 million earmarked for cancer research.
2 young men seen in an online video harassing manatees were sentenced today in a federal court. The incident happened last year in Brevard County. Taylor Martin and Seth Stevenson pleaded guilty to violating the Endangered Species Act. The video shows them jumping into the water where a manatee and her calf were swimming. The 2 received probation, 175 hours of community service, and were ordered to write an apology on Facebook for posting the stunt.
The GM recall saga continues. Today, CEO Mary Barra faced lawmakers in a hearing. Not all of their questions were answered. See what she had to say when we come back.
Plus, we have more on the situation in Iraq, how the president and Republicans are responding.
But first, here's a look at how the markets closed today. We'll be right back.
You're watching WUFT-TV News.
We have a little more information now from the scene of the shooting in Southwest Gainesville. It appears to be around the pawn shop on 34th Street in a nearby apartment complex where a gunman is now thought to be barricaded. Our reporter on the scene spoke to a woman who witnessed the police response.
And immediately when the first cop came in, they went behind Oaks Pond and grabbed a black female and a white female and brought them out front. Well, shortly after that, cops are steady coming in. The ambulance pulls in. They go in the pawn shop and they take the gurney in. There was a black male that come out that apparently was shot because he had a huge wound to his chest. He was alive, and they took him straight to the hospital.
We are told police were just evacuating people through the pawn shop. It's not known yet exactly where the shooting took place or what the circumstances were. The standoff is ongoing, and we will have updates for you on WUFT.org. General Motors CEO Mary Barra was back in the hot seat on Capitol Hill today as families affected by the automaker's ignition switch defects made their voices heard.
As Danielle Lee reports, lawmakers are skeptical about the actions the company is taking to correct the problems.
Lawmakers quizzed the top boss of General Motors, families of the victims and survivors of the crashes linked to the automaker's ignition switch defects shared their heartache. Pictures of their loved ones held close to their hearts. Robbie Buzzard's son, Trenton, is paralyzed.
My son has to live the rest of his life the way he is.
Candace Anderson was driving during the crash that killed her boyfriend.
I was convicted of a felony when GM was the true criminal.
It took GM engineers more than a decade to catch the problems.
I mean, how could they not know that?
I can't speculate on why they didn't know. What I can tell you is any time a vehicle stalls now, we consider it to be a safety issue.
This House hearing follows an internal investigation that found negligence and incompetence. GM fired 15 employees, but lawmakers aren't satisfied.
It looks like a lot more than 15 people should have been terminated.
You need a culture change and not just verbiage.
I completely agree with you, so it'll be the actions we take.
Just 2 days ago, GM announced yet another recall. This year, about 20 million cars have been flagged for repairs.
You're talking about millions of cars.
We have dealers that are extending their hours in their service department to be responsive to customers to get these repairs made.
CEO Mary Barra promises GM is making safety a top priority and rewarding employees who raise concerns. In Washington, I'm Danielle Lee, NBC News.
GM is setting up a compensation fund for victims. Despite being pressed by lawmakers, the company's CEO wouldn't give any estimates about how large that fund will be. The trademark for the Washington Redskins name is in the process of getting canceled by the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office. It's the second time since 1999 that the logo and name have been considered offensive. But the first ruling was overturned in court. Owner of the team, Dan Snyder, says the ruling will have no effect at all on the team's ownership of and right to use the Redskins name and logo. Other teams with Native American names and logos will likely be watching to see how this whole affair ends.
Last night was filled with violent weather in northeast Nebraska that included at least one tornado, but that wasn't the first round of brutal weather for the area this week. On Monday, 2 people were killed and dozens more were injured when EF4 tornadoes roared through the parts of the state. And there is concern about tonight's forecast, which includes the chance for more severe weather.
The fanatic fighters of the Islamic State of Iraq and Syria, a group known as ISIS, are going after Iraq's lifeblood today, oil. It's a move that escalates the crisis there, and in Washington, there's sharp division over how the U.S. should respond. Steve Handelsman has the latest.
Trying to decide what to do as Iraq descends into civil war, President Obama called congressional leaders to the White House. Many Democrats are wary of any U.S. military action.
Even if we tried to intervene in some way to help, who the heck are we helping?
And we're just saying enough's enough. Many Republicans say no cooperating with Iran.
No, absolutely not.
They want U.S. airstrikes.
We have to act. We must act.
Republicans are charging that Barack Obama pulled U.S. forces out of Iraq too soon and got outmaneuvered in Ukraine and in Syria.
This president has just taken us right down the tubes.
The public, too, is critical. In the new NBC News Wall Street Journal poll, the president's approval is down to 37% on handling foreign policy. ISIS rebels today attacked Iraq's largest oil refinery to choke off government revenue.
The economy of Iraq would collapse.
Well, I think that's right, if they lose their oil.
To choke off the exit from Iraq, ISIS is targeting Baghdad airport. That could force U.S. pilots into action.
If it comes down to the unlikely event that we're going to have to get Americans out and to the airport, we'll use airstrikes no matter what the consequences.
As Iraq's capital gears up for war. I'm Steve Handelsman, NBC News, Washington.
An Obama decision on U.S. military action is tougher because Pentagon officials admit they're still not sure where ISIS forces are, but they are scrambling to find out.
We have reestablished connection with our reporter on the scene, Nicole Acevedo.
She's there. She has GPD Officer Ben Tobias with her. Nicole, what do you have for us?
Ben, Michael, the shooter is currently still held up in the apartment inside Spanish Trace. Police are still keeping all roads blocked off until SWAT teams figure out the situation. I have GPD Public Information Officer Ben Tobias here with me. Ben, how you guys first got the call? What did you guys do to try to calm the situation down?
Well, when our officer got on scene, he heard gunshots and immediately took the victims towards the Oaks Pond area, and that's where we used it as an evacuation point to make sure we had the victims out of the shooting area and into a safe area. So there was a little bit of confusion as to was there a second shooting or not, but there was only one incident. Currently, we have the helicopter SWAT teams that are out making sure that we're doing everything possible to keep everyone else safe and ultimately to keep the suspect safe as well while we try to apprehend them.
Ben, do you know if they've been able to locate the apartment that the shooter is actually inside?
We believe that he's in one of a number of apartments here in the complex. So our SWAT team, since the immediate danger is gone, we're able to slow things down a little bit, get the building plans, make sure that we know exactly what we're going into so we're not ambushed going in there ourselves.
Do you guys have any kind of a timetable as to where you think this will end?
We're hoping that this ends peacefully, and we're hoping that that'll happen within 30 to 45 minutes. Circumstances are always beyond our control, so it's just going to dictate the suspect's actions that'll let us on that path.
All right, Ben, thank you very much. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Nicole, and we will be bringing you more information as we get it. Make sure to follow us on Twitter and check our website for more updates. But now on to some lighter news. It's been nice to see a little less rain the last couple of days, which is a little unusual for Florida this time of year.
And the nights have been a bit cooler, so the balance has been pretty nice. Dawn, are we going to see any changes, or any changes rather, for the rest of the week?
Well, I can tell you we are going to be seeing an increase in the moisture and the increase in the heat through this weekend. Coming up after the break, I'm going to let you know just how warm it's going to be. But first, here's a look over the University of Florida. 82 degrees is that current temperature. Once again, 86 degrees heat index, going to be increasing through the end of the week. Heat and humidity are on the rise, as well as the rain chances. They're going to be peaking this weekend. I'm WRUF forecaster Don Bartolomucci. I'm going to go ahead and walk you through the rain chances through the next 5 days or so, but I want to first show you my water vapor loop over the past 24 hours. You can see we have this dry air that's going to continue to move out over the next couple days, and an upper level low is going to start moving in some thicker moisture, deeper moisture for us here in north central Florida. That's going to be bringing around the more heat and humidity and the stronger rain chances through this weekend. Now I have those here for you, as well as the heat indices. I'm going to talk more about the rain chances in just a minute, but I do want to show you these heat indices increasing to up near 98 by Sunday and Monday of next week, almost 99 for Monday. I want to show you my radar loop over the past 3 hours. We do have a few showers still on radar right now. Most of those have moved out of the area. This is where they were earlier today, moving quickly to the west through the afternoon hours, and I think that's going to be the story through the rest of our evening. This is my future track. At 6 o'clock, we do have a few of those showers continuing to push to the west and out of our area. I think most areas will be dry by around 9 o'clock this evening, and we'll be staying dry through the overnight hours tonight. We may see a few showers popping up on for our Thursday afternoon, but drive time should be fairly clear here in north central Florida. I think the earliest we could see the rain on our Thursday is right around 2 o'clock. The stronger storms will be moving through right around 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I think most of those will start out along the along the east coast and then redevelop east of I-75 through the afternoon hours. For tonight, though, it's going to be a muggy night. 70 degrees for your overnight low in Gainesville, 71 in Stark, and it's going to be very warm on our Thursday. Afternoon temperatures 91 here in Gainesville, 90 in Stark, 91 in Lake City. And I mentioned I was going to talk about the rain chances. Well, here's Friday for you. Thicker moisture is going to be filtering in through the Friday afternoon and into our Saturday, but then you'll see most of this will retreat to the south, but with that, the instability is going to be increasing significantly for Saturday and Sunday this weekend. That's why the rain chances are going to be peaking on Saturday and staying elevated through Sunday. We'll be drying out, though, a little bit through next week. But here's my 6-day outlook. Not a dry day in sight. Stronger rain chances Saturday and Sunday this weekend, mostly in the afternoon hours. For Monday and Tuesday, we keep those rain chances. Overall temperatures in the low 90s. Back to you.
Thanks, Don. Our own Yancey Cook joins us now to talk about everything going on in the sports world.
Seemed like there was a lot of afternoon baseball today.
Yeah, high number of baseball games, including all 3 local teams, the Rays, Marlins, and Braves, all in action. When we come back, we'll check on those scores of those games and others around the league. More sports after the break. Welcome back, I'm Yancey Cook, and here's what's cooking in the sports kitchen. Lots of afternoon baseball action today, including the Rays wrapping up their series with the Orioles. Orioles pitcher Kevin Gausman shut down the Rays bats today, pitching 6 innings of shutout baseball. Steve Pearce got the Orioles on the board with this RBI double in the 5th to score Nick Markakis. And the Major League current home run leader, Nelson Cruz, polished it off with this absolute bomb in the 8th to make the score 2-0. Those went on to win by that score and will now head to New York to take on the Yankees starting on Friday, and the Rays will stay at home to take on the Astros. Tough day overall for the local teams as the Marlins lost to the Cubs 6-1 and the Phillies completed the 3-game sweep of the Braves in Atlanta with a 10-5 win. The Cardinals took the loss to the Mets today in St. Louis 3-2 as well. The Giants completed their 2-game mini-series with the White Sox today, losing 7-6 in Chicago. The Red Sox and Twins needed extra innings to decide their game, and the Red Sox went on to win 2-1. And the red-hot Royals increased their winning streak to 10 games with a 2-1 victory over the Detroit Tigers. 2 SEC teams are still alive in the College World Series. Vanderbilt is in the driver's seat to make it to the College World Series final, needing only one more win. Ole Miss, however, decided to take the road less traveled and played an elimination game last night against Texas Tech. This game was the definition of a pitching duel between the Rebels, Christian Trent, and the Red Raiders' Ryan Mosley. Ole Miss broke the scoreless tie in the bottom of the 7th thanks to Holt Perdzak's RBI single down the third base line to score Sykes Orvis. Texas Tech tied the game at 1 in the top of the 9th, but in the bottom half of the inning, John Gatling comes up huge, hitting the curveball into no man's land to score Aaron Greenwood and walk it off for Ole Miss. Hotty toddy, gosh almighty. The Rebels will now take on TCU tomorrow night with Texas and UC Irvine playing an elimination game tonight at 8. Of course, more World Cup action today as 3 more matches took place, including the early game between Australia and the Netherlands. The Netherlands picked up right where they left off with Regen Robben scoring the first goal of the match at the 20-minute mark. Australia answered right back in the next minute with Tim Cahill's nice shot off the perfect pass from Ryan McGowan. The match remained tied at 1-1 into the half and for the first part of the second half until Australia is awarded the penalty kick here in the 54th minute by Mile Jedinak to give the Aussies a 2-1 lead. The Netherlands, however, wasted no time as Robin van Persie ties it back at 2 4 minutes later. And then Memphis Depay puts them in the lead for good with this goal in the 68th minute as the Flying Dutchmen go on to win the match 3-2 and advance to the round of 16. The afternoon match featured the other Group B match with Spain taking on Chile. Chile jumped all over Spain, scoring 2 goals and winning the match 2-0. This may be the shock of the World Cup. Spain now has 2 losses and will not make it out of group play, the first defending World Cup champion ever to lose its first 2 matches of the following World Cup. And guys, Jaguars rookie quarterback Blake Bortles signed his contract today, so he is officially a Jaguar.
$13 million signing bonus, I heard.
Correct. I can't imagine making that much money on a signature.
All right. Thanks, Yancey. More news after the break. Stay with us.
Welcome back. Here's one last check on your weather. We do have a few showers still on radar moving to the west. I think most areas are going to be dry through the evening by around 9 o'clock. Here's where they were earlier today. I think most of that is going to be gone by around 9 o'clock, as I mentioned. Here's just a quick look at my 6-day. Overall rain chances possible any day for the next 5 or 6 days. I think Saturday and Sunday, the strongest chance for us here in north central Florida. Back to you.
Thanks, Don, and we are still following the situation over at Spanish Trace Apartments. Follow us on Twitter with the handle at WUFT News for the latest information.
Thanks for joining us tonight. The Nightly Business Report is coming up next. Good night.